نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يزال العبد في صلاة ما كان في المسجد ينتظر الصلاة ما لم يحدث فقال رجل عجمي ما الحدث يا أبا هريرة قال الصوت رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي يا ربي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. My respected elders, friends, brothers, with tawfiq and grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, myself and you all are sitting at this very moment in the masjid, in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very soon we will be stepping into the blessed month of Ramadan. In the month of Ramadan, we see Muslims change their lifestyle in the month of Ramadan. They become more religious in the month of Ramadan. And mosques are packed with the worshippers in the month of Ramadan. The hadith which I just read before you, this is the very hadith which I previously explained to you. And this is the hadith in which Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, a person in the sight of Allah, a person who is in the masjid waiting for the prayer, for the Jamaat to start, he is considered in the prayer. Which means when a person is waiting for one ibadat to take place, this waiting period is also classed and declared as ibadat. This waiting period is also in the sight of Allah declared and considered as ibadat. Waiting for ibadat is ibadat. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this hadith is saying a person in the masjid waiting for the Jamaat to take place is considered as he is in the prayer. He is in the prayer. And in that duration, the angels are making dua for him. Oh Allah, you forgive this person. Oh Allah, you shower your mercy on this person. So my respected elders, I mentioned Ramadan is just around the corner. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take me and you all safely to month of Ramadan. And in the month of Ramadan, the ulama, they say, in the manner you will spend Ramadan. How you will spend Ramadan, this is how you will spend the next of the 11 months. If the month of Ramadan is spent correctly, while one is engaged in the zikr of Allah, he is very, cautious, and he remains and he refrains from minor and major sins. And when he comes to the masjid, and he takes care of himself by not involving himself in the worldly talks, in the masjid he is engaged in the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is how the next 11 months will pass by. Just keep this. They say 2 month of Ramadan and Hajj period. These 2 periods. They say the person who goes for Hajj, how he spends time over there, this is how he will spend his life. And how he spends time in the month of Ramadan, this is how he will spend the rest of the 11 months. So our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said the person is considered in a prayer while he's waiting for the prayer. So in the month of Ramadan, we need to take care of ourselves in the month of Ramadan. The reward of our good deeds, is multiplied 70 times. But also the punishment upon the sin is also doubled. It's multiplied. So we need to take care of this in the month of Ramadan. And in the month of Ramadan, the Muslims start coming to the masjid. So in the masjid, we need to honor the masjid. We need to honor the masjid by not talking a worldly thing in the masjid. We need to honor the masjid by, occupying ourselves in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Malam yuhdis. As long as he doesn't do hadas, he is considered in the prayer. And an ajamiyun, meaning a non-Arab person, asked Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He said, "Oh Abu Hurairah, mal hadas." You're saying breaking of wudu. As long as he doesn't break his wudu, he is considered in the prayer. So what do you mean by this, by breaking of wudu? Because there are so many things that break wudu. So what do you mean by this? He said, breaking of wind, passing of wind. Now the question is, this might come in your mind. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said to him, passing of wind, this is a breaking of wudu. Now many things break wudu. Many things, according to Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi, if a blood comes out, it breaks wudu. According to Imam Shafi, it doesn't break wudu. When a person goes to sleep, his wudu breaks. When a person goes to sleep, when a person is in the salah and he laughs loudly, his wuzu breaks. So many things break wuzu. So Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu only mentioned one thing, and that was passing of wind. Why did he mention all the things? Generally, when a person comes to masjid and when his wuzu breaks, it breaks by, passing of wind. So that's why Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, breaking of wudu. Although there are many other things, despite there are many other things, which break wudu, but Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu only chose one thing. Why? Because generally this thing happens in the masjid when a person comes to masjid. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam in this hadith, he says that when you come to the masjid, and as long as you stay in wudu and you're waiting for the prayer, for the Jamaat to start, then you are considered in the prayer. Now the masajid, the masajid are the places which are beloved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the markets places which are disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because masjid is a place wherein the rahmat of Allah all the time is descending. And in the marketplaces, the majority of the people are committing sins there. Sins are taking place over there. And in the masjid, so for this reason, masajid are beloved to Allah, and the marketplaces are disliked to Allah because, majority of the time the sins are taking place. So when we come to the masjid, we should remember, I have come to a place which is very beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when a person comes to a masjid, he becomes beloved to Allah, providing he observes the etiquettes of the masjid. If he comes to the masjid and he talks in the masjid, and he, like I mentioned on Friday, many people, when they come to Jummah prayer, even not only Jummah, even for daily prayers, they are very busy on their mobile. Why have we come here? If we cannot spare 15 minutes for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when are we going to spare the time for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So masjid is a place wherein we please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we can only please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through our dhikr, through the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while we are sitting, and through refraining from things which can drag us towards the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what are these things? By talking in the masjid. What are these things? By playing on your mobile and watching, playing on games on your mobile. These are the things are dragging us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to be very careful when the month of Ramadan comes, that we come to masjid, we show full respect to the masjid by remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by sitting in the masjid silently. If we're not doing zikr, then sit silently in the masjid. Many a times, so many people said to me, Maulana Sahib, why don't you tell people, they're talking. Many times people, they come to me, maybe they'll be going to Maulana Sahib as well. They're telling us, please, we're requesting you, tell people they're talking in the masjid. So, we need to make an environment, there are some masajid, let me tell you, there are some masajid, if you go to them, you will see people sitting, reading Quran. Some are sitting, reading Quran, some are sitting, doing dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we come to this masjid, what we see, people talking. So what will happen when a newcomer to the masjid, he will adopt this. He will see everyone around him talking, he will adopt. And when the masjid is occupied with dhikr, a newcomer, he will adopt this. He will adopt this quality. So, let us make masajid a place of dhikr. Let us make a masjid place of recitation of Quran. And if we make the masjid a place of talking, just passing a time, then believe me, we are not gaining the pleasure of Allah, rather we are displeasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The whole purpose of coming to masjid is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he informed us that when you are in the masjid waiting for the Jamaat, you are in the ibadat. You are in a ibadat. So let us be in the ibadat, sit by sitting, and let us be in ibadat by remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may He give me and you all the tawfiq to respect the masajid by doing dhikr and by refraining from worldly talks. Rabbana atina fi dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar. Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul alim wa tub alayna innaka antat tawwabur rahim. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqihi Muhammadin wa alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin.